Can we get you? Audience, start the applause now. Hello. Tony.
First of all, let's give it up for Kato.
I love this guy already.
Lung capacity.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Let's go, Neal. Oakland. My first movie I ever did was Angels in the Outfield, and I shot it here in Oakland.
Everybody. All together now.
Let's go, Oakland. Hi, everybody. How are you? Thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out.
Doing well?
Doing very well.
Good.
Yeah, it's nice to be here.
We've been asking all of our guests, we're around the eve of Thanksgiving, so big plans this next week. Is it, is there anything crazy that goes on?
Now that we live in Vancouver, my wife and I, we have 5 kids, and we moved to Vancouver 4 years ago. So we had the Canadian Thanksgiving a few weeks ago,
right.
which was fantastic. We had 70 people at our house. We had this huge, Thanksgiving Day football game, which we do every year. And now we get to do it again for the real big Thanksgiving, for the American Thanksgiving. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Is there a specialty, like something on the menu that's like tradition, besides turkey, of course, but is there anything that stands out, or maybe your favorite meal of the week?
My favorite thing is just to have all the kids and all the adults and everyone out literally playing a football game. It'll go on for hours and hours and hours, and it's just so much fun. I've been doing the same tradition since I was a little kid, so now my oldest son Morgan is here, and all our kids look forward to it. It's quite a bit of fun.
No, tackle? Or are we talking just keep it?
Oh, it's 2-hand touch-ish.
There you go.
Yeah, the kids go a little more the snudge. The old guys are 1 hand, kind of close to you.
I have a son Morgan's age as well. Parenting a teen is so much fun. It's so much. it's very interesting, right?
With 5 kids, there's always something going on. And I'm blessed. I'm a devout believer in God and in my faith as a Catholic. And in my family, it's always God first, me second, or family first, me second. And it permeates through all the kids, and they understand that life is an important thing, and what you give into it is what will come back to you. So we try to teach them, to be kind, and be good, and to enjoy the moment too.
That's awesome. Well, I can only imagine going to a con with my own dad would just have been dream come true.
Yeah, he's having a good time. He's getting all the presents for everyone right now, and so he's having fun.
Well, one of my earliest really meaningful memories with my son was when you get a chance to watch something together, and something that's beyond just cartoons or whatever, something meaningful, right? And so my son and I's one of our first real meaningful experiences over a course of a season was Band of Brothers, right? That was for us. That was something that really and now we go back and revisit it year after year. I gotta think that an experience like that can't help but change an actor, right? Going through the Band of Brothers experience.
Well, doing Band of Brothers was the greatest experience that I ever had. I met my wife, Hervé, while we were doing Band of Brothers, which was the blessing in itself. But to get to hang out with the guys that I got to hang out with, and to get to be Buck Compton for a year, was truly an amazing thing. To get to understand what it was like to be a veteran of World War II, and what these guys went through, and how hard it was for them. These guys were light infantry guys. They're supposed to be there for a day or two, and they ended up being there for 39 days straight with no rations, no food, no ammunition. They lost everything, and to keep fighting for our country was an amazing thing. So anytime I see someone who was in the military, I saw Stephen here earlier, there's Stephen there. Give it up for Stephen, who's in the military. Anybody else here in the military? Way to go. Thank you for your service, everybody. What those guys did, and the ladies of that time, they paved the way for our freedoms that we have to this day. So we take a lot of things for granted at times as a culture in America, and it's shame on us for doing so, because they worked so darn hard to give us the freedoms that we have today. So it's one of the big things I learned from Buck was just stop complaining about everything. Stop complaining about Stop complaining your Starbucks isn't hot enough. Stop complaining there's traffic. Stop complaining. You're in the United States of America, which is the greatest country on the planet, and we get to be part of that. That in itself is an incredible thing, so we should always be thankful for that, and especially when it's Thanksgiving time of year.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. It would seem like that, I know as an actor, you just want to act, but after going through such an experience like that, does the war genre, is that something that you'd like to go back into, or is it just like, I'm good?
My wife says I have a face for helmets. So, anytime a war thing comes along, I'm like, wow, honey, you look great in the helmet, thanks. But I actually do. My dad was in the military. He came over from Ireland with $12 in his pocket and walked straight into an army office and said, make me an American. So they shipped him overseas for 5 years in the 40s and 50s. And that's how he paid his dues to become an American. So there's an affinity that I have towards the military, obviously because of my dad. But getting to play, Banner Brothers and Flags of Our Fathers, or any of these other projects that I've been now with Project Blue Book. Has anyone seen Blue Book out here yet? Project Blue Book, it's a fantastic show on History Channel. It's kind of like X-Files in the 50s, and it really talks about Roswell and Area 51 and what happened in those places. And to play the general, who was one of the most decorated Air Force generals of all time, and what an amazing man he was that I got to play. So, yeah, I love playing these military guys. I really do.
Was it, with military in your background, was it a big leap to go into acting? Like, was that something that you aspired on early on, or did you start back into it?
I think I was one of 6, and I was the mistake in my family. My mother always said I was the greatest mistake she ever made. 4 years later, I came along as an oops. So for me, they were always like, do whatever you want, just do the best you can, because I think they were just kind of tired by that point of 5 other kids. So I was lucky. I had the freedom to do theater. I had the freedom to do sports. And I was captains of the sports teams and leads in the plays in high school, which generally isn't the case. And then I went up to Syracuse University, and I played baseball there, and I was a theater major there. And then thereafter, there I was with Angels in the Outfield and Lou Gehrig and the Babe Ruth story, and I started doing baseball movies. And it started to turn into war heroes, and it started to turn into villains, like I do on Arrow. Yes, see, give it up for the villains. And I've had a great time. I really went to Hollywood to truly be a comedian.
Oh, no way.
And I didn't really get to infuse my humor until I got to play guys like Damien Dark on Legends, where I really got to, like Arrow, he was so serious. But when I got to Legends, we kind of let him loose, and it was so much fun. To play opposite Brandon and Katie and everyone else is here. It was such a, and Courtney, what a great treat that was for me. It was a wonderful time in my career and in my life, because I got to infuse that humor into my characters.
Well, I got to say, you kind of have a Damien Dark vibe going on here with this sweet coat.
I think everything that I'm wearing is from Damien.
Oh, no way!
I said earlier, in the back of my
gosh.
jacket, I think it says Hero in the back.
It sure does.
Yes, it does.
Yep.
Damien Dark, right it. The boots, everything. Yeah. So it's.
Well, what an incredible...
What guy likes to go shopping? I don't.
Yes.
I'm not much of a shopper. So when they have clothes that fit me, I'm like, can I keep that? Sure, go ahead. It's great.
Well, such an iconic performance and a show, Arrow being such a center of the CW universe, and now it's coming to a close. What do you take away from that experience?
That Stephen Amell is a beast. To do what he did, he really set the tone. There wouldn't be Legends, there wouldn't be Flash, there wouldn't be Supergirl, there wouldn't be all these amazing shows that Greg Berlanti has put together if it weren't for Stephen Amell and what he did on Arrow. He bleeds green, and I'm not kidding. He goes to work every day, nailing it. He wants it to be fantastic. He knows he owes it to the fans to be fantastic, and he's got this great work ethic that it rubs off on everybody. And that year on Arrow was really such a pleasure for me, because I got to go nose to nose with a really truly amazing human being and a truly gifted actor at the same time. So I love that kind of stuff. When I get to go with someone who really wants to really kick butt and do the best that they can, and it was a lot of fun for me.
All those salmon ladders. Did you ever attempt the same?
I don't want to embarrass him. He thinks he's the fittest guy in the world. Damien Dark has a few words to say about that.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm going to ask some questions, but in a moment we're going to go to audience. There's a microphone right here, so when we go over here, just kind of step forward and go for it. So, hey, I got to say too, one of my favorite genres or properties is Star Trek, and one of my favorite movies, Star Trek movies, is First Contact. Very few people get a chance.
Oh, stop!
Very few humans.
I didn't hear that.
Come on, Star Trek First Contact.
All right, so the first convention and only convention I went to was in 1997. I told the story earlier. It was pretty funny. When I did Star Trek, they gave me my flight suit, which is totally taboo. They just don't do that. They catalog every single thing. It goes in the catalog, in the museum. No one can keep anything from the show. So they snuck me my flight suit at the end of the show. I'm like, that was great. So I went up to North Dakota to do my first convention. There's thousands and thousands of people there in the big auditorium. I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to wear my flight suit. I'm going to walk out there. I walked out on stage with my flight suit on, and I told everyone this is my flight suit from the show. Everyone stood up and rushed the stage to touch the suit. I didn't do another convention for 15 years, 20 years later, because it was such a surreal, crazy thing, but it was awesome at the same time. And to be part of Star Trek was, I'm so blessed to have a career that I've had, that I get to do TV, to movies, to independent films, to big blockbusters, to commercials, to stage work, to cartoons, to everything, and it's been pretty amazing.
Well, I mean, very, very few people get a chance to, be on the bridge of the Enterprise on the big screen, and only a select few get to walk on the exterior of the Enterprise.
That's right.
3 people have only done that, right?
That's right, exactly.
So what was that like? Just that whole experience?
It was awesome. There it was in my flying harness, and everyone's complaining about being in the flying harness. I'm like, what are you complaining for? We're doing Star Trek, dude. Just fly. And for days, I'd fly around and I had the best time. And there's, Patrick Stewart and Dorney and everyone else, and it was such a great time of my life. I mean, I love all the shows that I've been in. I'm so blessed to be able to do what I do, and from DC to Marvel to Star Trek and all the other shows, and it's been really a fantastic run thus far.
In honor of Dum Dum, I'm wearing my Marvel jackets.
Nice.
What was we unfortunately haven't had a chance to get enough of Dum Dum, but maybe possibly in the future.
They're trying to figure out a way, and I would love to. It was nice going back to Peggy Carter, and that was fun. But I'd have to gain another 40 pounds of weight again, and that I was so big. I would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and eat an entire chocolate cake, and then just lift weights until my arms would fall off, and just eat. But it worked. Dum Dum was a great character, and it was so much fun, and to work with Chris and Sebastian and everyone else, it was that was a blast. It was a great time. It really was.
There's some rumors that maybe voice work with Dum Dum for What If? The What
If
series?
we did that a couple months ago up in Vancouver. I just finished that, so. Long may Dum Dum live, and hopefully we'll figure. I was talking to Kevin about a year ago. We're still trying to figure out a way to get Dum Dum back into something, and we'll get there. We'll get there.
Awesome. Hey, do we have any questions here in the audience? Go for it. Just speak into the mic. There you go.
Hey Neal, thank you for coming. So I actually have 2 questions. So I'm a fan of Tin Man, so I would like to get your thought process on that retake on that Wizard of Oz. And my second question is, how is it working with Lana in Boomtown?
Lana is fantastic. What she did Once Upon a Time, she's just terrific. But the whole Boomtown cast, that show, if you haven't seen Boomtown, you should see it, because it's one of those shows that, we won the Peabody Award, we won all these awards, and then we got canceled out of the blue, and everyone was shocked. And it was one of those shows that we all got to really act our faces off and really emote and be our own singular characters within the confines of a great script and a great play every week. So Boomtown with David McNorris, the character that I played, was one of my favorite characters I'll ever get a chance to play, because it was, Jimmy Smits was supposed to play the character, and at the very end, on the 11th hour, he couldn't do it. So Steven Spielberg said, and I just finished doing Minority Report, said, what about Neal Mcdonough? And they said, okay, come on and audition. I went on audition, and I got it, and we changed it from a swarthy, loving Latino guy to a drunkard Irish Catholic kind of guy that I grew up with, that kind of character, and I just tapped into it. And it was really fantastic. But Lana she's wonderful in everything that she does.
The Tin Man.
Oh, the Tin Man was Wyatt Kane. Is Zach here? Is Zachary around here? No, he's not here right now. His mom has a beautiful tattoo of him when he was a little boy, and Tin Man right on top of it. Wyatt Kane was one of my favorite characters by far. To play that Western iconic type of character within the confines of the Wizard of Oz on the Sci-Fi Network was really, it was amazing. And Alan Cummings and Zoe Deschanel. It was a great cast. It was a wonderful time, and I wish we did bigger miniseries like that now. The miniseries has kind of taken a side jaunt with movies of the week. It's either big movies or Netflix types of things, but the whole miniseries where a family can sit around a TV for 3 nights and watch a show, they don't do it enough anymore. And I hope at some point they'll bring the miniseries back because those big event types of shows I think are sorely missed on television right now. Along with Wyatt Kane.
You've played in almost every genre: superhero, fantasy, sci-fi, period. Is there a genre that you sort of gravitate towards, or you'd like to continue playing more in?
I always like just things that are well written. That's what I gravitate towards, whether it's a villain or a good guy or in between or whatever the case is. If the script is really good, then I get excited for it. Even if the script isn't very good and I'll figure out a way to squeeze every ounce of everything out of every character I play. As you all know, my dad always told me if someone offers you $1 for your work, give them $2 worth of effort, and that's kind of how I've always done my life. That I never want anyone to say, well, you didn't entertain the heck out of me. My job is to entertain the heck out of all of you people, and I love that that's my job in my life. It's pretty awesome. I'm blessed.
That's awesome. Hi, come on forward.
Hi, first.
Hi, Stephen.
Hi. Thank you for your appreciation of the military. It means a lot to us. I was going to ask you, but I think you kind of already answered, if there was any chance of seeing you reprise your role, Dum Dum Dugan, and the Howling Commandos, maybe on Disney Plus. But I think you've already kind of.
I didn't think of that. That's actually not a bad idea, is it? Because the Howling Commandos, those guys, they were just awesome. I mean, it was just so much fun. And Kenny Choi, the scenes that I had with Kenny were great, and Bruno, everybody. It was. We had such an amazing time. We filmed in London, and they went off to Wales, and it was such a terrific time. My whole family was there at the time. I only had 3 kids at the time, but we had such an amazing time in London that I really, I pray maybe you guys can write some letters to Disney and say, hey, let's get the Commandos back. But I think they will at some point because everyone talks about it so much that I think at some point Kevin's gonna be like, okay, Dum Dum's back.
That would be awesome. But also, I want to know, I know you went through a boot camp for Band of Brothers. Did you do that also for Captain America with the Howling Commandos?
No, it was different because we did a boot camp. We definitely did a boot camp for several days. It wasn't nearly as intense as Band of Brothers because Band of Brothers is a true life, real story about these guys and what they did. And after about 3 days of boot camp, I had lost these teeth. This was cut open, broke my toe, broke my thumb, and this was, I think, day 3. And all of a sudden, there was you could feel all the guys. It was kind of like a mutiny. And then all of a sudden, we're at this base way up in the middle of England, and this helicopter starts to come down. And we look at this helicopter. The helicopter lands, and out of the helicopter comes Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks. And Tom Hanks with his long castaway beard and his long hair. I'm like, wow, what's Tom doing here? This is interesting. And Tom says, I hear you guys are getting tired of this. Well, let me tell you what it was like for these guys, how tired they were. And he did a speech about how we owe it to the men of Easy Company to really suck it up and work hard and tell the truth at no matter what level of pain we have to go through, to tell it for them. Not for us, not for yourselves, but the guys of Easy Company. And from that second on, everyone was like, yes, sir. And we just went to work and hunkered down and did our job. And I think it paid off. I think it all worked because Tom Hanks was there.
It did. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
You mentioned Flag of Fathers, Clint Eastwood, someone that's, again, few people have a rare opportunity to work with. What was that experience like?
He was the most no-nonsense guy. When you're filming with Clint Eastwood, you literally better be prepared. In fact, he'll roll and on a rehearsal, and he'll say, all right, it's enough, let's go on to the next scene. And if you weren't prepared and you flubbed a line, the whole place would just be kind of like, uh-oh. And you wouldn't make a mistake again because we'd be done by lunch every day, and lunch was steaks and lobsters, and he treated us like kings and queens because he wants us to be the best that we can be. That being said, my wife was having a very hard pregnancy with Morgan, who's around here somewhere, and he heard about it. We were in Iceland. He says, I hear your girl's having a hard time with your pregnancy. I'm like, yeah, how did you find out about that? He goes, I'm Clint Eastwood. Okay. Because do you want to go back? I think you need to go back on the plane and go back to your lady tonight. Do you have all your scenes memorized for all the scenes? I'm like, yes, I do. And he goes, all right, boys, we're going to shoot Neal out, and we're going to get him on a private plane to get home back to Los Angeles tonight. And I'm like, wait a minute, how do you do that? He goes, didn't I just say it? I'm Clint Eastwood. Let's go, boys, let's get Neal out of here. And it was like, what director would do that because he puts humanity above anything else? That's the difference between Clint Eastwood and just about anybody else that I've ever worked with. Steven Spielberg's the same. Tom Hanks is the same. The guys who get to the very top of any business care about humanity as much as what they're doing. And Clint Eastwood is the most amazing, wonderful, fantastic, tough as nails, most artistic guy that I've ever met. And I was really blessed to be directed by him. And that was a really that was phenomenal.
Amazing, amazing. Hi. How you doing, Neal?
Great, how are you?
You mentioned Angels in the Outfield. That was one of my favorite sports movies as a kid, along with, obviously, the Mighty Ducks movies. Disney and sports just worked in the 90s.
Yes, it did.
But a couple questions. One, obviously, you know, your career's taken off. Same goes for Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Adrian Brody, doubly so for Matthew McConaughey. What was it like for you guys doing that back then before you guys became these big-name icons?
It was funny. When I got Angels in the Outfield, my mom had just passed away, and I bought myself this powder blue 1963 Skylark convertible. And everyone was flying up from Los Angeles to Oakland to shoot the film. I said, I'm driving up. And so I drove up, and that became the cast car for the months that were up here. And instead of taking the bus to work every day to the Coliseum, Adrian, McConaughey, I mean, everyone would sit in the Skylark and we would cruise to work every day. And it was such a phenomenal time of my life because we're all a bunch of nobodies. It was our first movies, you know, and we, you know, here was me being a college baseball player, get to play in Anaheim, here in Oakland. We shot in Anaheim too, we shot at Candlestick also. But to play baseball every day for months, it was one of the greatest times I've ever had as an athlete, as an actor, and those guys are still my buddies, and it was really a magical, fantastic time.
And the other part of that, what was it like when you got the call to come in and do that 30 for 30 skit for College Humor?
That was awesome. And I went back home to the clothing store in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, where I'm from, and there's really preppy, over-the-top preppy clothes in Cape Cod, Hyannisport, where I'm from. So I said, find me the ugliest, most over-the-top Madras jacket so I can pull focus during the scene. So I had the jacket, and you could see it. It's the worst used car salesman jacket you've ever seen in your life. And they said, do you want to do a 30 for 30 spoof? And I'm like, great. He goes, what do you want to wear? I'm like, let me see if I've still got it. And I found it, and I wore it in the scene, and it still fit, which was awesome, which was very surprising. But it was Whit Bass was one of my favorite characters I ever got a chance to play. It was my first character. I dyed my hair dark red for my mom because that's what she had, and it was a great time. And here I am back in Oakland all these years later. So thank you for bringing me back here. It's been awesome.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Yes, hi.
Hi, daughter.
I was just wondering
Hi, daughter.
if you liked
Say hello to my daughter, everybody.
with Courtney Ford on Legends of Tomorrow.
Courtney's unbelievable. I was just talking about Courtney a minute ago. Do you know her?
Yeah.
She's so talented, funny, charming.
Courtney, come on up.
Hey, we need you for a
This
second.
guy's the best. He's just the best.
You gotta share stories about you. Come on.
I'm gonna go back, but I just
Give a round of applause to Courtney.
You guys, do you have any good Courtney stories?
There are no Courtney stories. She's so professional. She's always there. She's always ready to go home.
I fail.
You never fall. Never. but she like, you know, it's like, and Brandon, same. These guys are like, they want to win on every take. They want to bring it. They want to make sure that they do the very best and help out anybody else who's on the set to make sure they're doing the best. And I think that's why Legends is such a great hit, because they're great actors, they're great human beings, and they're amazing people, and I was so fortunate to be part of it.
Yeah.
Hey Neal, how are you? So the question is, I see you as
Thanks,
heroes.
I'm getting weepy-eyed. Thanks, Courtney, appreciate that.
I see you play heroes, I see you play heels. It seems to me, when I watch your acting, because you as Jay Hamilton still sticks in my brain, big time. Unrated movie, by the way.
When I got Jay Hamilton, Walking Tall, who's seen Walking Tall here? So they said, we want you to be in Walking Tall, and I read the script. I'm like, oh, great. I figured I was going to play the Johnny Knoxville character, and they're like, no, you're the villain in the movie. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, you're the villain. We saw what you did in Star Trek. We want you to be the villain. I'm like, but I wasn't really a villain. I was a Borg at the end, but really I'm going to be the villain? Okay. And it turned my career. And for the last 18 years since we did that film, anytime there's a bad guy role, they're like, you want to do it? Yeah, I do. And I love that my bad guys all look like me. I don't really change my look that much. It's my intention. And it's so much fun to tap into different little bits to make each villain a little bit different. And this year, from Van Helsing to Altered Carbon to The 100 to Project Blue Book to Suits to Yellowstone, all these shows I did this last year, I look the same in all of them. But it's just these slight degrees of difference, the way I think about things, the way I feel about things, the way I talk to people, the way I look at certain people. And to me, that's a great challenge and test for me, and that's why I love acting so much.
But you make it look so easy. I always wonder, like, if I ever met him, is he really like that? I mean, really, it almost felt like that. So to follow up on the question of your villainy, which one is your favorite that you really enjoyed being the bad guy?
Wow. Oh, boy. It's like saying, who's your favorite kid? Of course, Morgan will say, it's me, Dad. It's hard, Damien Dark on Legends was just so much fun to play, but he wasn't really bad because he became a dad and he became this nice, lovable daddy guy and that kind of stuff. So for deep, dark villains, Jay Hamilton was so good. I loved Red 2. I had someone, because I got to work with Malkovich and Bruce Willis and Anthony Hopkins and Helen Mirren and Catherine Zeta-Jones and everyone. It's impossible to say who's my favorite one. My favorite, wow. Van Helsing was a lot of fun this year, but again, I went from really dark to sort of good near the end.
Yeah, they softened it up a bit.
They did. Yeah. So I'm going with Jay Hamilton because he was because he was unapologetically awful. Yeah, awesome. It was great fun to play.
Awesome, Neal. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Speaking of, what do you think it is that there's so many villains out there, but you do bring a very unique perspective.
I try to take what is obvious and throw it on its ear. Like it might say in the script, he looks menacing here. But then I'll kind of smile and do something completely different. Or I'll take the punctuation marks out, I'll write everything down and take out the punctuation. It's an old Christopher Walken trick. To totally make the words your own. And by doing so, it's, oh, wait a minute, I forgot. Frank Quarles in Justified was a sick dude. That was a great character. Let's not kid ourselves. In fact, that was, I talked about it before, I kind of got crucified because I wouldn't do a kissing scene in a TV series. And so they fired me. And it was in my contract that I don't do sex scenes. And so for 2 years, I couldn't get a job. I was completely blackballed. I lost all my money, lost my house, lost my cars, it was a brutal couple of years. And then I got a call from Graham Yost, who wrote Band of Brothers and wrote Boomtown. And he says, I want you to be the villain on Justified. And that was that. Okay, and that was conversation. And I said, I'm going to absolutely crush this thing and put all that stuff behind me so everyone forgets about that and everyone remembers what a great actor I am. Because I know I got this gift from God, and it's a great gift. I know I'm great at acting. I know that. There's nothing special about that. It's just something that I have. We all have our great gifts, and it's up to us to also admit what you're great at. What I can't stand when people do is, Neal, you're a great actor. Oh, no, I'm not. Oh, gosh, no. That's lying, and that's not cool. You're a great plumber. Oh, I don't know. No, you are, dude. I just saw what you did with those pipes. That's incredible, right? So it's up to us to acknowledge the God-given talents that we have and admit it. That being said, that doesn't make you special. You still have to work at being a great human being, and that's the paramount thing. That's the most important thing we can all do in our lives, is to be the best human beings that we can be. We're here today because we love comic books. Comic books take us away from all the crazy, sometimes negative things that we have in our lives. And comic books sometimes get us cooking, thinking, hey, things are possible. If this guy or this girl could do it, why can't I do it? Well, that was kind of the game plan that God had for us to start with from the beginning. And that's how I feel about life, that I'm really great at what I do, but I have to work so hard at being a great human being because the temptations are out there. this horrible thing. That's why I gave up drinking years ago, because I knew that it wasn't the best thing for me to have a great relationship with God. And being a father of 5 kids, I didn't want to be that dad either. So I had to dig deep and get things out of my life. And I think that's what we need to all do, is try to figure out this crazy stuff in the world, this bizarre stuff in the world, and we're all privy to it. We all see it in the newspapers every day. It's out there. You have to accept it. But what are you going to do as human beings to make your world a better place from you to everything else? That's the question we all need to ask ourselves. And that's what we work on every day. And that's what I work on. And it's fun for me. I get to play villains and good guys and all kinds of stuff, and it gets to introduce me to different things in life. But the thing I keep going back to is, I'm great at what I do. I get to work so hard at being a great husband, being a great dad, being a great friend. God first, me second. Family first, me second.
That's excellent. Thank you. Hi, how's it going?
Neal, just want to know, what was it like to work with Tom Cruise on Minority Report?
He's a lot taller than everyone thinks he is, first and foremost. And Tom is like, he's like the most handsome dude ever made. He's the coolest cat. He's so kind. He's a great dad, and he works his butt off. There are a few guys. You don't get to be number one on the planet by luck. It's hard work. What we do, it's hard work. Anything we all do, if you're going to be successful in anything that you do, you have to work hard at it. Tom is at the very top of everything because he works so hard at everything that he does, and he rubs off on you. And I loved working with Tom, and I hope I get to do it again soon. And they talked about the new Mission Impossible. They talked about me the other day about possibly being the villain on the new Mission Impossible things, and I think if that would be thank you. Yeah, that would be great. But Tom he's terrific for a reason, because he cares about everyone, and he's just a genuine and very generous human being. I love that guy. Thank you.
You already mentioned Morgan a couple times and being a father.
Morgan, where are you?
We need to get him on stage here.
Exactly.
What is it like, having such a body of work, and then now your kids are growing up in it, and they, what do they think of you being a dad? Some of your roles, their favorites, do they avoid it? What's it like being a dad?
I'm not really. You should probably ask Morgan.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. How are you? If you were asked to return for Crisis, would you do it?
Yes.
All right. / did they ask you?
No.
Why?
Because I couldn't. Because my other shows it's just way too big. This last couple of years has been, 7 shows in a year and a half that's got to be a record. But luckily, all the shows basically were shot in Vancouver, so I got to go home every night and be with my wife Hervé and the kids and coach them on the weekends, and that's the great thing about living in Vancouver. There's so much work there, and great work. All the fantastic shows are up there, especially the comic book shows, which I love. So for me to be up there and be home every night is just amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions before we wrap up? Go ahead.
Hi. I know this is probably hard to answer, but you've worked for Marvel and for the Distinguished Competition. Do you have a preference, Marvel or DC?
Star Trek.
Yeah.
No. It's again, who's your favorite kid? I love Dum Dum. I love Dum Dum Dugan. He's about as close to me as a character gets. That big lughead tough guy from Boston. That's kind of me. But Damien Dark was one of the greatest times I've ever had. I mean, to play Damien was just, thank you. Yeah, it was just, you can't beat that. It was such a wonderful time in my life. So I love them both. Long may I play for both of them. The only one I haven't done so far is Star Wars. So we got to figure that one out. We were talking about that the other day. So hopefully that'll be the next one.
Thank you.
Hello, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. So, about Damien Dark, was there anything that you brought to the table regards to playing Damien Dark? Good villain, by the way.
Thank you very much. It was, Greg Berlanti is one heck of a writer, and Mark Guggenheim, that they gave me that. Yeah, those guys are just, they're unbelievable. And the material that they gave me in Arrow was really great, kind of, it was like a heavyweight prize fight with me against Steven, and it was who's going to win. And it was the thrill in Manila. It was the rumble in the jungle every time I went to work, and the two of us would go at it. And it was so much fun. And then I'd go to Legends, and then there's John Barrowman. And then it was song and dance time, and goofiness and fun, and then to have Courtney as my daughter, and then this year to come back and do an episode with them was such a joy and a treat for me to go back home again. It was great. So they let me, when I got to Legends, they let me be me. They really let me infuse the human side of Neal Mcdonough and the funniness and the quirkiness of Neal Mcdonough into the character, and they wrote to that. The more I did, the more they wrote to it, and it was, being the goofy dad that I am, they wrote to it, and it was really a fantastic time in my life to be part of that. So, yeah, that's what I infused. I infused me as much as I could.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, as we close, we are on the eve of 2020, and big new year. Unfortunately, 2020 sounds so crazy because it feels like we should be in spaceships and in hovercrafts.
You look at your credit card, expires 2020.
Yeah, it's crazy,
what?
right?
How could that possibly be?
What do you have to look forward to this next year? Do you have anything that you're working on, or anything that you'd like to share?
We just finished Blue Book. We'll start season 3 sometime in the late spring. I'll finish the 100 now sometime in late January. And then there's a couple movies they want me to do. 2 of them in South Africa, actually, which my wife is from South Africa, so that might be a lot of fun. I have a movie coming out called The Warrant, this Western that I did where I played a good guy, which is fun. Thank you very much. And I'm developing a show right now with Warner Brothers, and it's just been very busy and just fantastic, and I'm a very blessed guy.
Hey, Bay City, let's hear it for Neal Mcdonough. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Oakland. Thank you, Oakland.
How do you not love